Hey everybody and welcome. Today I have a watercolor palette review video, and I got sent this watercolor palette from Lightwish. It's a box with 36 colors. It's a wood box, and it says it has vibrant colors, solid wood box, and it's 100% handmade ceramics. So let's have a look. It usually comes wrapped in a plastic foil, but in a bubble wrap, but I already unpacked it to have a look. Yeah, that's the box. The lid is not wood. The box is, and the lid has a magnetic closure, so it's not good closed, I would say. You can easily remove the lid. And when you open it, you get a swatch sheet, which is really nice, I think. And that is the watercolor palette. It comes with a ceramic mixing plate. And that's hard to get that out. That's handmade. That's quite lovely. It's a bit hard to get it out. Not sure if you would put it out a lot. Maybe to clean it. And this one you can put right here. So you could paint like this if you wish. Yeah, I'm not someone who paints at an angle. You could put it like that maybe. But there you have this thing on the lid, which I think might be very annoying when you're painting. So I'm not sure if I would paint like that. I don't think so, because the watercolor will run down immediately. Yeah. It's quite optical. It's quite a really nice box, and I think having this sitting on my desk would look quite nice. Very inspiring, I would say. I always think art supplies that are looking good are quite inspiring. These colors come, it looks like they are wrapped, or there's just a paper on top. No, I think there is a paper wrap around them. Oh my god, I have no idea how to remove that, because you can't take out the pens. But I think they might fall out if I turn it around, but then they are not sorted anymore, and I don't want that. So that's a bit hard to unbox, I would say. It's really hard to get these out. I think it's just like this. And it has a pigment number and a name, and it is the same as you see here. What I really like, that the swatch sheet has the names. I will now quickly try to unwrap the colors, and then we will have a look, we will swatch them, and I will make a little place spread in my journal. Okay, finally I managed to get the paper off the pens, and I will now turn the lights on a bit so you get better lighting. I hope that helps. And we will swatch these colors. It's really hard for me to read the tiny words here, but there it has the color. It says titanium white here, titanium white, and there is the transparency. It says it's opaque. There's the pigment number, and that's the color number. So it's quite nice that you have these things to know, but I'm not sure if you are able to rebuy one color from Lightwish, or if you only can buy the set. I'm going to start without watering the colors first, because I'm not sure if it's good to spray water onto the whole box as it's wood. Next is the skin tone. Then we have permanent lemon yellow, cadmium yellow medium. That's a really nice color. And it looks quite transparent, but it says it's opaque. We will see when we play with it. I really like it. The next is gamboge yellow. That's usually one of my favorite colors. Quite similar to the cadmium yellow, maybe a little bit darker and a little bit more dirty. Cadmium orange, lovely color. I love to have a good orange in my sets because I think it's really hard to mix oranges that are bright and vibrant. That's the permanent orange red, looks like a vermilion. That's a, can't read it, oh my god. Chester red, I can't read it, I'm really sorry. I definitely need some glasses. That's the cadmium red. Then we have meadow red. The colors look very nice and vibrant to me, and they activate super quickly. You can see that I haven't wet them and they are very intense. The rose red. Then we have a violet, a magenta. I'm not sure if that's right. I would say maybe the pens were swapped. I haven't checked that before. But that looks like a magenta for me, and that looks like a violet. A royal purple. Oh yeah, that's really nice. A permanent violet. I'm not a violet fan, so I don't use it a lot. Okay, more water. A cobalt blue. The French ultramarine, one of my favorite colors. We have a sea blue. A Prussian blue. And an indigo. I find it really important that there is a dark, oh really nice. Indigo is really lovely. That there is a dark blue in these sets. A Payne's Gray. That's also a color I use a lot. And a turquoise light. Looks like the horizon blue from Mugello. Definitely. To me it's the same color. A malachite green. Then we have an emerald green deep. Very similar. But that's a bit greener and that's a bit blue. That's a bit warmer and that's a bit colder, I would say. Then we have a hooker's green. Brilliant. Let's see if it gets a bit more intense. Really nice. A permanent green. I think the collection of the colors we have is very good. Tree green. Oh, that's a lovely color. That's a really lovely color. A yellow green. That's like the May green from Schminke. Really nice. An olive green. I need an olive green in my... Ooh, that's a really brownish olive green. Very nice color. Very nice. And you can always make it a bit more greener if you mix in some of the other greens. That's the yellow ochre. Really nice as well. Raw umber. That looks to me like a raw sienna. But there is no raw sienna in this set. But that's, for me, it's not a raw umber. It's a raw sienna. One of my favorite colors, by the way. Oh god. But Patchouli red ochre. I don't know, I never heard this name. It's a red ochre. Yeah, that looks like an English red. Really nice. Then we have an umber. Looks like a burnt sienna to me. And then we have a burnt sienna. Oh my, I think these are also swapped. Well, in case you get this box, definitely check the color names on the papers with the swatching sheet, if they are really in the right place. I trusted that because I didn't want to check on all the color names, especially because I'm not the youngest and I'm having a really hard time reading small stuff. So I think these are swapped. This should be the umber and this should be the burnt sienna, in my opinion. We have a Van Dyke brown. That's interesting. That's usually quite a nice neutral granulating color. It looks really nice. And an ivory black. Lovely. I'm really surprised by the color selection. I think it's a really good color palette. From what you get here, you have every color you need, I think. And there are not, I often see that some bigger color palettes you get online, that they have some colors in them that are all similar. You have 3 blues that look almost the same, you have 3 greens that look almost the same. And what I really like about this color palette, you get really nice colors, a perfect selection to start out. And it's a really pretty palette. I think it's not something I would take out with me, because that's with that lid, it's not that easy, but I think it's really pretty to have that stand on your desk, especially maybe if you have a nice stationary desk with other cool supplies. And probably what this is useful for, to put that swatch palette here at the top so you can see your colors that you have. Or maybe you can put a reference photo here that you can then paint from. I'm really looking forward to play with these colors now, and I'm going to make an abstract art journal spread with them. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the process. I'm working in one of my art journals today. It's not a watercolor paper, but it's really nice to play with watercolors on that paper, because the colors stay quite vibrant and they also do not sink immediately into the paper, so you have some time to play with the paints. And I'm starting out here with that burnt sienna color. Yeah, and I do what I always do. I just play with the paints and enjoy my materials. Here I'm mixing some black and gray together, the Van Dyke gray and the black, just to make the black a little less black. And then I'm going to dip that into the wet area on the paper and make a pattern with it. And that's how I like to work. I am just experimenting with the pigments. I add colors here and there. I try to create patterns like I did it with the line work in this one as well. Here I'm adding it's called violet. I would say it looks like a quinacridone magenta. And with some colors, I was not sure while swatching if they might were exchanged. So if that's important for you, I would have a look before you swatch it. If you think it's the right color, or just have a look at the numbers on the packaging, if it's the right number. I personally do never think about the names of the colors as much. Well, I have some colors where I know the names, or I think I know them, but for me it's more important that I have a swatch sheet for the watercolors and I see which color sits where and what I will get when I will use it. Here I'm mixing the malachite green with, I'm not sure with what I mixed. I might have used something more. Oh, I know, I've used the turquoise light. It looks like a cobalt turquoise, and I mixed it with that malachite green. You can't see it because it's off the camera. And that turquoise color looks like a cobalt turquoise. It's a really beautiful color. And mixed with the malachite green, you get a really nice darker greenish turquoise. I'm going to let that layer dry now so I don't get muddy colors in the end. And once it's dry, I will add another layer to bring in depth and more interest. Here I quickly made a pattern into the paint with that fern brush. As the paper was buckling a bit, I used a clip to fix it, and now I'm going in, I think it was the rose red, to draw in kind of a rainbow shape. I wasn't very happy with the pattern and the black dots because they didn't bleed as much as I wanted them to bleed. That always depends a little bit on the paper and on the pigment. That's just something you have to experiment with. So I went in with some bigger circles with that black gray mixture, and then I decided to let the color drip a little on my page, and that's a technique I also really often use in my abstract work, letting some paint drip along the page.
I believe it was at this stage of the painting where I saw some trees growing, two black trees and two green trees on the left. And then I decided I would yeah, bring these out. Sometimes when I see something in an abstract painting, I would just use it and make a motif out of it, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm making some trees out of the green shapes, and I will add in a third tree because I always have the feeling that an odd number is a bit better. Because like if I would leave it like it is, I would have two trees on the right and two on the left, and I think that's a bit boring, so I try to imbalance it a bit by adding a third little green tree into the painting. I'm going to let that spread dry again before I come in to finish it up, and I will just bring in the trees a little bit more so that everybody can see them a bit better, and I will add some mark making and interest with other mediums. I think for the green trees, I decided to paint in a stem and some branches, and that's what I'm doing with the watercolors. And then I will add some details on top with acrylic markers and a Neocolor crayon. For the black trees, I decided to use a white Posca pen to make some details over the top of them, bring in a pattern, something different to look at. Now I'm going in with a Neocolor crayon. It's one of my favorite materials to make marks over the top of a painting, and that's what I usually do with all my abstract work or watercolor work. I add more layers with other materials because that's what I enjoy so much, using different mediums and just play with them on the page. Yeah, and that's what I've done here as well. I'm finishing the spread up by adding some watercolor splatters. I really like to add splatters to a painting because it often adds another pattern and another layer and brings in more vibrancy and depth. Yeah, and that's it. I'm really happy how the page turned out. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you like the watercolor palette. yeah, and then I hope we will see you soon. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye.